Things hadn't been easy even before you showed up. Oh, we'd always had our difficult times, of course. Forest fires, torrential downpours, disease. More than once I feared for the life of my tree, my own existence a mere afterthought in comparison. But those disasters had all been part of the cycle of nature. From the flames came ashes, feeding the soil. The rains were bad for the little ones, but the roots of my tree could drink deep and grow strong. If one group of cousins or another grew too dominant, too numerous, diseases would trim their leaves ere they strangled us. You were not like that. You were never like that. I did not see it at first. I was curious, as I always am when I see new life, new distant relatives. What joy to share in nature's bounty with hitherto unknown family. At first you seemed pleasant, wonderful even. You traipsed through our grove, marveling at the beauty of my tree and my cousins. You took great pains to avoid treading on the flowers of the little ones, commenting on their magnificence. They were most flattered at your comments. Many of them worked hard to stay in bloom longer than they perhaps should have. For you. Next to the lake that I so dearly love, you made such beautiful music. Sap still comes to my eyes when I think back to that first time I've heard you play. You took, of course, but it was never unreasonable. Some berries here, some nuts there, fruit if you could find it, mushrooms sometimes. You wouldn't herd with some regularity. It is not something I understand, as one of a tree, but I appreciate the necessity. Many animals too require flesh. I do not begrudge you your needs. After you first passed through our grove, I found myself dearly wishing you would stay. What a fool I was. Alas, you moved in quickly. And business to tend to in the city, whatever that was. If you needed to have a sit, you could have done that perfectly well against our bark, I say. The minute you left, I, and most of the grove, rooted for your return. Your presence, your music had been magical. When you returned, a few weeks later, we were ecstatic. This time you stayed a little longer. It was most welcome, though your departure was no less heartbreaking. A pattern would form. Each year you would trek through a grove, and our world would fill with beauty for a bit. It wasn't just your imagination. The grove did come to life whenever you were around. Birds flocked to sing to you. We would polish our leaves to a fine green sheen. Those of us who bore them would hold on to our fattest, plumpest fruits for you to pick, desperate to see their juice drip down your lips. Then you would leave to your shitty. You would return a little later, stay a little longer, and then you would vanish until next year. We loved you, and you loved us. It was beautiful. After many years, I forget how many, but we had seen you grow and ripen. However, something changed. You had come with strange items, far more than normal. You led a creature, loyal and stewed, yet straining under the weight of your possessions to our grove. It drank from the lake, and you removed its burdens, took from their mysterious implements. They fascinated me. How I wish I never saw them. I had dreamed for a decade of hearing the words you next spoke. Little did I realize they spelled my doom. I have decided, you said, that this grove is the place dearest to me in the world. I wish to stay here. You attributed the rustling of the leaves to a sudden gust of wind, but it was the sound of dozens of dryads, scores of animals, and hundreds of little ones breaking into cheer. We were so happy you would come to live with us. That all changed drastically in but minutes. You'd taken wood before, of course. We had seen your mastery of fire and thought it scared us. You proved time and again that you were able to control it. That you would not end us all in a conflagration of your own making. We learned to trust you. Besides, you almost invariably took dead twigs. 'Twas rare you would cut off a live branch, and only in desperate moments. They do not burn well, of course. This we could forgive, given the circumstances. Many of us, me included, made sure to save up our twigs for you. both to make your life a little easier and to ensure no harm would come to our trees. All in vain, of course, as I know now. Nay, worse, we were the architects of our own destruction. Had we not made you feel so welcome, would you have wanted to live here? Would you have built your lair here? Impossible to say now. The past cannot be changed. I remember it well. You took out a strange implement from one of your packs. The loathed axe as we now know it, though it was new to us at the time, and sauntered over to my sister on the oak tree. You had spent many nights slumbering under her branches or resting against her mighty trunk as you made your beautiful music. She loved you, as did we all, perhaps more than any of us. You loved her too, I think. Perhaps that is why you choose her. You rested a warm, tender hand against her bark and looked up at her crown with a smile I still cannot think was anything other than genuine. "I'm sorry, old friend," you said, "but I have need of you. You'll stay with me, I promise." Then you took the axe in both hands and swung it vicious, sharp metal bit directly into my sister's side. Nature, I still hear screams. She did not understand. None of us did. This had never happened before. We did not even know this was possible. Lightning could do this, yeah. Fire. Gale winds if a cousin's tree was old and sickly. But a creature? You? Who had become so enraptured with us? So beloved by us? I did not believe what was happening until my sister's tree came crashing down to the ground. Dead, centuries before its time. My sister could not leave her tree, of course. She only outlived it by seconds. I'm glad she wasn't around to see what happened next. You cut off its beloved crown that she had spent so long perfecting. She had fussed over it so, making sure it could give you shade in your favorite spot. All that work thoughtlessly torn off with a cruel blade. There was a certain reverence in your flensing. You understood on some level the venerable nature of the tree, I think. But then, why would you slay it? How could you, if you truly understood? My sister's was the first, but was not the last. Tree after tree fell to your axe. Some of my cousins fought back. They dropped branches, you dodged them, they sent angry hornets upon you. You lulled them to sleep with smoke from your fires. I wept uncontrollably for my lost family. You took the disfigured corpses of my cousins' trees and you piled them high. At first I thought you were building some sick funeral pyre. Then I realized it was so much worse. This was how you nested. I watched in horror as you continued your grisly work. You made yourself comfortable in the bones of my cousins. You took their bodies and carved them into strange things I had not seen before, but would eventually learn the names of: door, shutters, table, chairs, bed, all fashioned from death. Most of the growth you kept intact after the walls were done. You only slew enough of my cousins to make space for your home. Then you moved deeper into the woods. We would hear the distant screams and we would weep. Then you would return with another corpse and again ply your macabre craft. Eventually, one day, the thing I feared most came to pass. You left your house, axe in hand, and made your way towards my tree, towards me. Fear gripped my beating heart like it never had before. To persist in flames or torrents was one thing, but to have our corpse mutilated, turned into a part of your exhibition of slaughter, anything would be better than that. Anything. And so, I broke the most cardinal rule of all Dryads. I emerged from my tree in full view of you. I was terrified. I was surprised. Shocked even. Didn't seem to know how to respond. I still wonder if I could have taken the moment to seize your axe and strike you down with it. I wish I had tried. Instead, I still held love for you in my heart, and so I sank to my knees, sap streaming down my face. My green strands of grassy hair rustled as I sobbed. Please, I begged, my voice breaking. No. You blinked, the vile axe lowered as your hands sank to the side of your body. You looked up and down, tip to toe, took in every last part of my body as I shivered in the cold. It was too late in the year for a Dryad to be out of a tree. Slowly, a grin spread across your face, the kind of grin I had seen on wolves and other predators when they had cornered their prey. You knew I was vulnerable. My heart sank. What? You slowly asked, the glint in your eye and a hunger in your voice I did not yet understand but still feared. Would you do for your tree? There was only one possible response. You knew it as well as I. I suspect you simply wanted to hear me say it. Anything, I answered honestly. You swung your axe, and for a moment I thought you decided to end me, but instead you swung it at the ground, planting it bit first into the soil. It cut the bulb of a flower one of the little ones had worked on so hard in celebration of you staying with us before you revealed your true self. You didn't seem to notice or care. You simply strode forward until you were directly in front of me. I looked up at you, confusion and fear written plainly on my face. The bullshit started to form in your pants. I did not understand what that meant yet, until you undid your trousers and you erect before me. Stroke it, you said, and I understood. I had seen you engage in such acts before, of course. Had pleasured yourself on your lonely nights beneath the care of our trees, unaware of our presence. I had never tried myself, but I knew it must feel good. Truth be told, at times I had wished to do it for you. Well, I got my wish. Stifling my sobs, though I could not stop the sap flowing from my eyes, I wrapped my hands around your member and gently moved them up and down. You sighed contentedly and gestured for me to continue. Disgusted by myself, but desperate to save my tree, I kept tugging. Up, down, gently, slowly, lovingly, almost, though there was no love in my heart for you anymore, only terror. You moaned, and a slight slickness spread from your tip. Curious despite myself, I ran my thumb over it. That elicited a shiver. I decided to do it again. Pleasing you seemed the best way to keep my tree safe. You shuddered, and your calloused hand grabbed my hair. I yelped. It tore in places. You didn't care. Pulling on my hair, you forced me to meet your gaze. I kept stroking, terrified of incurring your wrath by seizing. Take my seed, you said, the desire in your voice palpable, and I swear I shall keep your tree alive for as long as I love. I had no words, wasn't sure what good your word was, but it wasn't like I had any other options. Tears of sap coating the grass between my knees, I nodded. You grunted and yanked on my hair again, pulling my mouth onto you now. I was shocked. Never had my tongue tasted flesh of any kind before. The scent alone was overwhelming, the salty, meaty taste too much to handle. I gagged. You laughed. Don't worry, you said. We'll have that gone soon. I could not respond. Even had my mouth not been full with you, you had robbed me of my ability to think. Your hips moved back and forth, thrusting yourself into my throat. Your moans grew louder, your thrusts faster. I felt dizzy. Mercifully for me, then, that the first time was also the shortest. Within minutes, though it felt like hours, you slammed your entire length down my throat, and with a loud, unbroken moan, pumped your seed into me. I swallowed, desperately gasping for air as much as I was doing entirely I could to please you for fear of reprisal. I could scarcely keep up. You pulled yourself out of me, splashing a few final strands of seed across my face. Some of it hit my tongue, lolling out of my mouth as I panted for breath, and I gagged at the taste. You slapped me for that, I think. Once the last of your seed had left you, you wiped yourself clean with my hair and let me slump to the grass below us. You laughed as you redid your belt. That was good, little Dryad, you said, a relaxed, satisfied tone in your voice. I look forward to doing this again and again. Those words sat like shackles on my mind. Again and again. I would never more be free. You went back to your house, came out again a little while later carrying some objects. I knew not what they were. Could barely even register your coming and going. My mind was still trying to reconstitute itself. What I did notice, however, was a sharp pang of pain from my tree. I looked over in terror, but my worst nightmares had not yet come to pass. You had plucked a shot from my tree, a healthy, robust young thing. Would make a strong branch one day, I was sure. Had tended and cherished it for years. You had torn it from its place in a second, cutting off its future forever. I wept at that. What you did next confused me, however. I expected you to use it for a fire, like you sometimes used to before. You did not. Instead, you placed it in rich, dark soil contained within a pot. Your expression was tender, loving even, as you gingerly patted down the soil around the shot, ensuring it would stay in place. Almost like your old self, I thought. Then you flashed another one of those grins at me, and your old self vanished again. Here, you said, handing me the heavy pot, is your tree. I struggled to keep it upright. Did not understand. Then in one motion, you seized your axe and rammed it deep into the trunk of my tree. Agony like I had never felt before blossomed in my side, and I nearly dropped the precious shot. I screamed in anguish, my ribs feeling like they were shattered all over again every time your axe bit into my tree again. Begged for my help. I tried to plead with you, but I could not speak, for my screams stole the breath from my lungs. I could do nothing but endure the incredible pain and watch as you chopped down my beloved tree, my home, my life, my truest companion through all these centuries down in front of me. When it fell, last strands of bark ripping as it crashed to the ground, it felt like it was me being torn apart. I writhed on the ground in agony, so much sap flooding from my eyes I feared I would dry out. You planted your axe into the stump of my once great tree, set one foot down upon its now lifeless trunk, and smiled as you wiped the sweat from your brow. There, you said, ignoring my pain. Now you belong to me, as I promised. I will keep your tree alive in that shot. It shall live for as long as I will, but never again shall it grow so mighty as the tree I just felled. It shall be small and frail and weak, and so shall you be. Oh, how I wish that had been false. I knew, of course, that the shot of my tree could not survive the winter. With most of my tree gone, I no longer had the power to keep it healthy. I would have to depend on you, on the walls of your house, and the warmth of your fire. I would never be able to escape you for as long as you lived. I became so much lesser, grew weaker, frailer, as you predicted. You took to my vulnerable state with glee, taking me for your pleasure whenever you desired. I could not stop you, even had I had the will left to do so. You made me your servant and plaything. I cleaned, I swept, I tended your house. You carved the remains of my tree into the frame for a large dog bed in which I now sleep. It was your ultimate cruelty. Every day I wake up in the undecaying corpse of my dearest compatriot. Every night I lay down in its unliving embrace. Sleep never comes easy and nightmares haunt me often. The shoot tries to speak courage into me when it can, but it is so weak, so frail. It knows so little, it cannot help me. My cousins try to do the same on the rare occasions you permit me to go outside. Often it is to violate me on the stump of my tree. You seem to take great pleasure in that. You hate being in the house, and I hate being on the stump. But those brief moments in between give me a measure of peace. The sun on my skin, the wind in my hair, the grass under my feet. my cousins whispering their support to me through the rustling of their leaves. In those moments, I can close my eyes and pretend I am okay. But they never last. There's always another torment to suffer. My cousins tell that you are aging, that silver flecks your hair, that soon you will pass from this world and I will be free. Just a few more decades. Free. What a strange notion. One I want to cling on to desperately, but I cannot. You have inflicted your final, ultimate cruelty upon me. Through mutilation and suffocation, you have stifled the growth of my shoot. It is weak, broken like me. It will never grow into a tree again. Even when you pass, I will not be able to replant it. It would die and I would go with it. No, you have ensured that even after your death, I will have to rely on your walls to keep us alive. I will have to master your fire to keep us warm in winter. Every day I plead and I beg to nature that when the time comes, I will be able to make do with sticks from the ground, like you used to. Do not harm my cousins, but in my heart of hearts, I worry I will have to make your sins my own. Nature, forgive me. I fear I will need to take up the axe.